I want to share with you some thoughts I've had that I think are valuable, that have an impact on our faith and our recovery. Wisdom is necessary if we are going to have a solid faith, a solid recovery. The first thing to do is to define wisdom. The stock definition would be experience, knowledge, sound judgment. The key word there is experience. Knowledge is something that can be gained by reading, by listening, by observing. But experience is something that we have to live, to gain over time. It requires years, days, going through things over and over and over to gain the wisdom that is in them. Just because someone goes through an experience does not mean that one gains wisdom. Just because I go through something doesn't mean I get the wisdom out of it that I could. What is it about an experience that lets me get wisdom from it, or just pain? What is it that lets me get wisdom from an experience, or instead just suffering? What is it that makes it turn into wisdom? What makes an experience give me wisdom is surrender, submission, laying down my view, my will, my opinion, receiving what is there. The experience, the problem, the trouble, the trial, the temptation in an attitude of surrender allows me to gain wisdom from it. This is true in recovery too. If I'm going to gain experience, knowledge, and good sense, I'm going to have to surrender to a program. I'm going to have to surrender to something that tells me what's going on, something outside myself, some truth, some reality that I haven't made myself, that isn't manufactured by me. This morning I was driving through fog. Fog is something that reduces visibility. It reduces how far you can see. It changes how safe it is to drive because you can't tell what's around the corner. You can't tell what's down the road. Driving in fog is a lot like living the human life. We can't see around corners. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So how do you drive safely in fog? Well, you can drive really, really slow, but if you know the road, you're a lot safer. If you have experience with that road, you're a lot safer. If you have experience driving that road and you add that to your knowledge of what fog is and how it works, and then you have the good sense to put those two together, you can drive wisely. But if every time you drive on that road, you ignore it, you don't pay attention, you don't listen, you don't allow it to inform you, you just get through it as fast as you can, you don't observe, you don't take time to slow down and recognize landmarks and features of the road, if you just impose your will on it and don't allow it to inform you, when the fog comes, you have to drive really slow, and you may even make a mistake there. It makes me think of faith and recovery. If I'm going to have wisdom, I'm going to have to surrender. If I'm going to have wisdom in my faith, I'm going to have to surrender to the God of that faith. If I'm going to have wisdom in my recovery, I'm going to have to surrender to some system of recovery. I'm going to have to allow that being or that system to be in control and me not. And that's how I'm able to interpret and engage with my experiences and draw wisdom out of them. What does a life look like that doesn't have wisdom? A life without wisdom is a life where every time you go down the road, it's like it's your first time. You haven't learned anything. You haven't absorbed anything. You have not allowed the road to change you. In our faith, what that looks like is someone who never grows into spiritual maturity. They never become a spiritual father or mother. They never become a support to those around them. They are forever sucking the life out of the faith community that they are in. They don't have wisdom. And in recovery, what that looks like is relapse after relapse after relapse. Get sober, stay a while, and bounce back. Get sober, stay a while, and bounce back. That's what it looks like. That's a life without wisdom. That's a life without surrender to the process of faith and recovery.